Hi people, it's me, Anja. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new video. Today's video is the meta book tag. So yeah, the first question is middle grade. What's your favorite childhood book? The first book that comes to mind is Harriet the Spy. This book is so good. It's such a classic. I absolutely really enjoy it. I think that even if I read it now, I would still enjoy it just as much as I did when I was little, and it wouldn't really appeal like juvenile or childish to me, even though it is just really nostalgic, you know? Like, even aside from its nostalgia, it's still just a really good, solid story. You know what I mean? And I feel like Harriet the Spy was probably the first character that I resonated with. So that helps a lot. So anyway, yeah, that's my answer. The second question is YA. Name a hyped book that lived up to the expectations. So the first book that comes to mind is Cemetery Boys, written by Aiden Thomas. I know that I've talked about this book a lot recently because I just talked about Aiden Thomas's next book in my most anticipated 2021 releases video, but Cemetery Boys is truly so good. It's YA contemporary fantasy. If you didn't know, it's about a transgender young boy who must prove his true gender to his traditional Latinx family, and by doing that he accidentally summons a ghost. So we love to see it. This book is so good. There's a reason why this book was one of the most talked about books in 2020, because it was absolutely so good. Aiden Thomas is so talented and I love this book. It's absolutely so good, and like I've said before, I am so excited for Lost in the Neverwoods. So yeah, please read Cemetery Boys if you haven't already, because it's so good and I swear it lives up to its expectations. So yeah, the next question is YA. Name a book that you had your doubts about. So this is kind of related to the previous question, but when I'm reading a really hyped up book, I doubt that it's going to live up to my expectations of it, because half the time when I'm reading a really hyped up book, it doesn't live up to its expectations. You know what I mean? So for example, using Cemetery Boys as an example, I was not expecting that book to live up to its expectations, but it absolutely did. But another book that I doubted would live up to its expectations was probably Shadow and Bone, written by Leigh Bardugo. That trilogy is so good. I do personally prefer the Six of Crows duology, but I will say that the trilogy is also so good. Six of Crows and Quindlen Kingdom is only better by a little bit. You know what I mean? I think the trilogy is just as good as the duology. You know, it's so good. Leigh Bardugo is such a wonderful, talented author. I love her. I'm so excited for this TV show because I'm so excited to see Mal and Alina and Zoya and Nikolai and all these characters come to life. You know what I mean? I am so excited. So yeah, Shadow and Bone. Also, please read it. The next question is adult. Name a book that intimidates you. I don't have any books that intimidate me, to be quite honest, because I feel like I will try anything. You know what I mean? I do have my favorite genres and my favorite audiences and my favorite authors and whatnot that I do tend to gravitate toward, but I will try anything, you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't have a book that intimidates me. Next question is fantasy. Name an atmospheric book that transports you. So if you didn't know, fantasy is my most read genre. I love fantasy. I love the world building of it. So the first book that comes to mind for this is Crown of Feathers. This book is so good, and it's so underrated. And for what? It's so good. I am so excited for the third book in the series, which is called Wings of Shadow, which, yes, I talked about in my most anticipated 2021 releases. I know I've referenced that video twice now. So yeah. Anyway, Crown of Feathers is so good. It has dragon phoenixes in it. It has a great world in it. It has a great sister relationship in it. It has great characters, great plot, great everything in it. It's so good and so underrated. And for what? It's absolutely so atmospheric, and that's why it fits this question perfectly. So yeah. The next question is sci-fi. Name a book that taught you something. So the first book that comes to mind is We Are Not Free, written by Traci Chee. This book is YA historical fiction, and it taught me more about World War II than I had been taught previously. You know what I mean? Like, I was taught about World War II, don't get me wrong, in school, but like this book kind of went more into detail about it. You know what I mean? And you can tell that Traci Chee did her research because this book was so good. You know what I mean? I know I've already talked about this book previously because it was on my favorite books of 2020 video. So yeah, I don't really want to talk about it in more detail because I just talked about it so recently. But please read it. It's so good. Please check out all of Traci Chee's books because she is so talented. Just like Leigh, Bardugo, and Aiden Thomas, she is a genius. Anyway, the next question is thriller. Name a book that you couldn't put down. So typically I don't really read thrillers because, like, for example, One of Us is Lying, I predicted the ending of that book before it had even started, basically, so I don't typically read thrillers, but an actual thriller that I could not put down was The Inheritance Game, written by Jennifer Lynn Bones, I believe. This book is so good. I cannot wait for the sequel. I could not predict any of the plot twists at all in this story. This story truly kept me hooked every single step of the way. You know, like with One of Us is Lying, I kind of knew what was going to happen, like every single step of the way, but with The Inheritance Game, I had no idea what was going to happen, you know? So like this book was so good. I am so excited for the sequel. I think it comes out in September or something like that, so we have a long way to go, but I'm still so excited for it, and the cover is like so pretty. So yeah, the last question is contemporary. Name a book that you could relate to. So the last book that I read that was the most relatable for me was probably like Late to the Party, written by Quindlen. I know that I read Late to the Party like 6 months ago, I think, but anyway, it's so good. So like Real or Not Free, Late to the Party was on my list for my favorite books of 2020, so yes, I just recently talked about it. But if you missed that video, this book is a YA contemporary and it's absolutely so good. I relate to the main character in this book because I've often felt like I was late to the party in a societal standard way, if that makes any sense. So yeah, Late to the Party is absolutely so good, and I highly recommend it if you haven't read it already. So yeah, that's the end of this video. I will be leaving in the description box below the original creators video as well as their channel, as well as anybody's channel whom I will have tagged by the time I'm promoting this video on Twitter, you know, because I tag people on Twitter. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below your answers for any of these questions. Comment down below if you enjoyed this video, why if you enjoyed it. And anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you in my next video. I apologize if this video is kind of all over the place, but that's how it be here. So yeah, bye.